But the infinite wonders being unveiled by science were struggling against the ceaseless human despair of poverty and crime. The rebellion by the United Colonies of America was strangling British trade, and inflation was rampant. Meanwhile, the Industrial Revolution was making the rich richer, while destroying the lives of the poor, tearing apart communities and befouling the environment. With a population of 4,000, Bury was on the outskirts of the bustling city of Manchester, the second largest in Britain after London. A starving agricultural workforce was being pressed into grim, damp, overcrowded streets, blighted by poor sanitation, as a shortage of doctors battled outbreaks of typhoid, cholera, and smallpox. The nearby city of Liverpool was Britain's main slaving port. By the time of Molly's birth, Liverpool's ships had carried more than 1 million slaves from West Africa across the Atlantic to the plantation owners of the Caribbean. A shroud of coal smoke was descending over the county of Lancashire, which was central to the Industrial Revolution. Fields and farms were surrendering to steam engines in what the English poet William Blake would later call dark satanic mills. The cramped sweatshops that turned Bury into a major centre for textile manufacturing. Working conditions were abhorrent. Children as young as 4 were forced to work in the mills. Many others were pushed downwards into stifling coal mines, or upwards into a claustrophobic nightmare as chimney sweeps. In Lancashire, the infant mortality rate was among the highest in the counties of a rapidly imploding Britain, and life expectancy for those who survived infancy was among the lowest. As Molly's mother, Jane Haydock, cradled her baby on that May day in 1777, she knew the odds were stacked against her. 2 of the newborn's infant sisters had perished. To survive, Molly would need to be a fighter. Life was cheap in Britain in 1777. Disease lurked in every breath, and the legal statutes known as the Bloody Code listed more than 200 offences that carried the death penalty. Most of them were rooted in poverty and hunger, and included such crimes as cutting down a tree, stealing a rabbit, or collecting the spoils from a shipwreck. The spectacle of public executions drew large crowds of people who created a carnival atmosphere. Boiling, burning, and beheading had been common punishments in the Middle Ages, and burning carried over into Molly's lifetime. 6 women were reduced to ashes in Britain while tied to stakes in the years surrounding her birth. Though public hanging had become the principal punishment for capital crimes. Most of the hangings in Molly's county occurred on the wilds of Lancaster Moor. A cart would carry the condemned and their coffins from the prison at Lancaster Castle to the gallows on the moor outside the town's southern gate, sometimes stopping at the Golden Lion public house so that those awaiting execution could have a farewell drink. As the prisoners were forced up ladders and then fell to their deaths at the end of ropes, cheers and jeers would erupt from the crowds. Youth was no protection from the gallows. The year before Molly was born, a Gloucester girl, Susanna Underwood, was hanged for setting fire to a barn and a haystack. The local newspaper criticised the appalling manners of the terrified, weeping 15-year-old, who had refused to shake hands with her master and accuser before the hangman bound her arms for the execution. In the halls of Westminster, though, there was a growing movement among British politicians to make hangmen redundant. Banishing British criminals by transporting them to distant shores was seen as a humane alternative to breaking their necks.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.